Welcome. In this video, we'll be discussing how to evaluate a polynomial in one variable. Let's take a look at number 1, and then I'm going to give you some steps to ensure that you are completely accurate when you do these problems. So number 1, we're supposed to evaluate the polynomial 3x squared minus x plus 2 when x is negative 2. So my biggest word of caution when you're doing these problems is to be really careful of your signs. So to be careful, what I'm going to do is every time I see an x in the problem, I'm going to put a little group of parentheses. So instead of having 3x squared, I'm going to have 3 parentheses squared, and basically I'm putting parentheses where the x was. And then I have minus parentheses, and then plus 2. So that's my first step. The reason I put parentheses in is because it will make it easier not to make a mistake with the signs. So now the next step is I'm going to drop my negative 2 in for x. So every time I wrote those parentheses, every time I have space, I'm going to put a negative 2 in. So that gives me 3 parentheses negative 2 squared minus parentheses negative 2 plus 2. Okay, now this becomes an order of operations problem. So the first step using order of operations would be to do parentheses, but notice that there's actually nothing to do inside the parentheses. It's just indicating that I have a number. So there's really no operation I need to perform inside the parentheses. So the next step would be to do the exponents. So if I square negative 2, negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. So I end up with 3 times positive 4 minus negative 2 plus 2. And now the next step would be, well, I've got multiplication, subtraction, and addition. So multiplication is going to come next. So I've got 12 minus negative 2 plus 2. Next step is I do addition and subtraction as they appear from left to right. So I'm going to do this subtraction first. 12 minus negative 2, again, means that you have $12, somebody's taking away $2 of your debt. That's going to make you $2 richer, so you'll have 14 plus 2. Final answer is 16. Okay, your turn. So the one that I'm going to have you try is actually number 4. Pause the video and then restart it after you've given it a try. So again, first step for number 4 is instead of having b to the third, I'm going to put a little group with space so that I can prepare to put my number in for b. So instead of having 2 times b, 2 times a group, minus 1. And then the next step is going to be to actually plug the number in, and in this case we're supposed to plug in negative 4. Okay, after I've plugged the number in, now it's an order of operations problem. So I'm supposed to do parentheses first, but there's nothing to do inside the parentheses, so exponents come next. Negative 4 to the third is negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4, which is negative 64. Everything else stays the same. Next step, I've got addition, subtraction, and multiplication. So I do the multiplication. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Keep everything else the same. And now I do addition subtraction from left to right. So negative 64 plus negative 8 is negative 72. minus 1 is going to be negative 73.